Although disinterments aren't that common, it is one of our responsibilities as a vault company. The main reason for a disinterment is relocation in the cemetery or relocation to another cemetery. Another less common reason is for a police investigation, a type of disinterment that I myself haven't been a part of. And more commonly, a disinterment may occur when a family chooses to go the route of cremation rather than traditional burial. In my experience, the vast majority of disinterments, like this one, are due to relocation purposes. The rules, laws, and regulations involving disinterments vary by state and province, and the main goal of those regulations is to honor the wishes of the deceased and their family. In situations where a vault is being disinterred, a funeral director is responsible for the paperwork and the regulations that occur around this process. This burial vault is being disinterred and moved to a separate section of the cemetery, a section of the cemetery that has a lot more open grave spaces. By relocating the vault to the newer section of the cemetery, the family was able to purchase more and more plots around where this vault will be placed, allowing the family to be together in the cemetery. In most cases, those who normally work the cemetery will dig out around the burial vault, and a vault company such as mine will come in with a buggy like this Johnny handler to remove the vault from the grave and relocate it to its new plot. Oftentimes it can be extremely difficult for the cemetery crew to dig down around the ends and the sides of the burial vault once it's installed in a section where many of the plots are not vacant. To remove this vault, the cemetery employees were able to use a smaller bucket on their excavator and dig down the sides and each end, while still having to remove a headstone and a foundation. That headstone and foundation belong to the individual that is laid to rest, and that headstone is being relocated as well. So no other plots and no other families were affected by removing this burial vault and placing it in its new plot. Having a piece of equipment like this Johnny handler for tasks such as this really come in handy. Most vault trailers don't have a problem lifting a vault out of a grave such as this, but having the pulley system on the top that allows me to move the vault in and out from the buggy really comes in handy and keeps me out of harm's way. And I know this question will be asked, and it's one of the more common questions I get on this channel, is do these burial vaults fill with water over time? Now, this burial vault was installed over 15 years ago, and it's impossible to know if there is water in the burial vault. But one thing I can say from my own experience, removing concrete grave liners and Wilbert monarchs that do not seal, if this burial vault was filled with water or even half filled with water, it would show when I lift the burial vault up. Now, it is anecdotal, but it is from my experience. When we lift a burial vault using a harness such as this, if there is water in the vault at all, the water will pool to one end of the burial vault or grave liner, causing it to be unlevel when lifted up with the harness. When the weight of the water shifts from one end of the vault to the other, it will make the vault lean on the harness and won't lift up in a level manner. But if you've watched any of my videos that shows the closing process of a Wilbert burial vault, you will see on this burial vault that the lid and the base are much closer together than when it is first sealed. The backfilling process of a grave plays a pivotal role in making sure the vault has a high quality seal. The weight of the backfill soil pushes down on the seal that lies in the tongue and groove of the burial vault, displacing it even farther, making sure that the seal between the lid and the base is air and watertight. Since this burial vault is just being relocated, there is no reason to remove the lid. But if this burial vault were damaged in the exhumation process, we would replace the burial vault. In my close to 10 years of experience and all the disinterments that I've been involved with on a lined and sealed Wilbert burial vault, where we did have to gain access to the casket, the interior of the burial vault was dry and free of debris, and jackhammers and saws were required to remove the lid. The experience that I have may differ from some vault companies due to the fact that we take the highest amount of pride in manufacturing and installing burial vaults. If the seal is not installed properly, if the vaults are not stored properly or cleaned properly, the seal may not be as effective as a burial vault installed by our company. Now that this Wilbert Monticello has been removed from its original plot, We can now place it into its new plot. Now, even though this vault was in the ground for over 15 years, we were still able to tell which end of the vault was the head and the foot due to the trademark on the foot end of the vault, also due to the nameplate and the emblem that were still intact when the burial vault was exhumed. We now need to line it up to make sure the feet are to the east and the head is to the west, according to religious and cemetery tradition, and we can lower the vault down into its plot. And I have covered this before, but I'll mention it again. With the use of burial vaults, the 6-foot rule is no longer required. Typically, graves are around 4.5 to 5.5 feet deep, and that really just depends on the gravedigger and the cemeteries that we work in. For burial vaults in Illinois and Indiana, most of the graves allow 24 inches of soil above the vault lid, making sure there's enough dirt to properly compact down the seal, but also enough dirt to allow the grass to grow above the lid of the vault. The main reason in the past that graves were 6 feet deep was for grave robbers, the odor, and to prevent animals from gaining access to the casket. With the lined and sealed burial vault, those factors are completely out of play. And it doesn't matter how seasoned of a vaultman you are, you always gotta watch your footing. The last thing I would want to do is hurt myself and prevent myself from making a living for my wife and kids at home. In reality, I should have just pulled the buggy forward rather than trying to put the harness on while the boom was still extended. But I was able to jump over the grave rather than falling in, and no harm, no foul. The last step of the process is to raise our boom up off of our aluminum board and collapse the boom back down onto the buggy and get it ready for transport for my service this afternoon. On my services that I work, I try to do my best to keep my equipment clean, pay attention to all the small details, and try to make the graveside service as comfortable as possible for the family. Now, there's not a lot that I can do on a disinterment other than treating the burial vault with care and respect and keeping in mind that this is a family's loved one, and the relocation of a burial vault requires the same amount of care and respect as a graveside committal service does. I hope this video was informational and answers a few questions that a lot of people have about the burial vault and funeral industry in general. It's an honor to work for these families and provide the services that our company provides. Take care and God bless.